Carolyn, do you want to call the roll?
Bussey,
Present.
Carter,
Present.
Hunt,
Present.
Keller,
Present.
Lunds,
Here.
Peterson, and Erickson.
Here. Okay, so we have a quorum, and the first item is the 1.1 is foreign trade zone appointments. It's on page 3 of your agenda. What we did a couple years ago, and I think it's worked fairly well, is that the mayor is one of those on the foreign trade zone. That was very helpful with respect to the SIC project. And of course, the other one is been Shane, who's been on there. Tim Keller also was on for years. But I guess I would like to just move that we reappoint our current representatives, Mayor Tim Bussey and then Shane Woodrong. So
Second.
Was it second by Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Okay, any additional discussion? If not, Carolyn, you want to call the roll?
Bussey,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Lunds,
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
6-0.
Motion carries 6-0. Okay, the next item then is item 1.2, which is a work plan modification. And I think, Shane, there's only one little change. It's on the last page of the work plan, but do you want to talk to that?
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. So what we're asking the Port Authority Board to consider is a change to the work plan to partner on a study that would study the feasibility of multi-use space in the South Loop District. It wasn't specifically in the work plan, so in order for us to do that work and get a consultant going on that, we're asking the port to consider a change to the work plan and the authorization of that up to $25,000 payment. So that's the quick summary of that item, and be happy to answer any questions related to that.
Are there any questions for Shane?
What's the money used for again, Shane?
Mr. President, Commissioners, Commissioner Lunds, the money would be used to study multi-use space in the South Loop District, potentially at or near Mall of America or some other project nearby.
Okay, thank you. I missed it. Sorry.
Okay, well, if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion then for the approval of the change in the work plan.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hunt, seconded by Commissioner Luntz. Any further discussion? Carolyn, do you want to call the roll?
Bussey,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Lunds,
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. So we then have the major item on the agenda is the closed session. And to do that, there's a resolution on pages 13 and 14 of your package. So I guess I would ask Julie or Melissa, do we need to have any discussion before we move that motion or anything?
Mr. President, if we could ask Jason, he could probably put up a quick slide to clarify the closing of the session that he's worked out with the attorneys. And I'd just like to point out that Commissioner Peterson has joined us for the record. Can you give Jason sharing?
There he is.
Yes. Okay, Mr. President and Commissioners, I'm going to share a quick screen here. So what we're asking tonight is to go into closed session to discuss a purchase offer for the former Ramada Thunderbird properties. It's approximately 11.57 acres. After that discussion and everything, we will come back into open session for consideration of an action. And here on the slide is the required statement that President Erickson will need to read, and then from there we'll need a motion an action to go into that closed session.
Okay, are there any questions from Port Authority commissioners before I would read this? If not, pursuant to Minnesota statute section 113D.05 subdivision C3, 3C3, the meeting will be closed to discuss offers or counteroffers for the purchase or sale of real property owned by the Port Authority and located at 2115 78th Street East, 2201 78th Street East, and 2351 78th Street East, all in the city of Bloomington, Minnesota, and the potential development of such property. And then do I make the motion or do we have somebody else make that motion?
Cancel that window. Cancel the window. Cancel the window.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'd move that we go, the port would go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute section 113D.05 subdivision 3C3 to discuss offers or counteroffers for the purchase or sale of real or personal property located at 2115 78th Street East, 2201 78th Street East, and 2351 78th Street East, and the potential development of such property.
Second by Peterson. We have a motion made by Commissioner Bussey. Did we have a second?
Second by Peterson.
Second by Commissioner Peterson. Any further discussion? Not, Carolyn, you want to call the roll?
Bussey,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Lunds,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
So then, if I may, Mr. President.
Yes, please.
So in your Bloomington email, you'll get a link now to the closed session. And what we'll all do now, and this includes legal staff and others, you'll get a link to that closed meeting. You're going to log out of this open meeting WebEx and log back in to a different WebEx meeting, which is the closed session meeting. So this is going to take a couple of minutes, and we'll ensure that everybody's both logged out and logged into the right meeting. So with that, we will pause the recording of this open meeting. It will technically stay open, but we want to make sure that everybody leaves this meeting that is currently open. You guys can all exit it and then log into the meeting that you're going to get in your email if you don't have it right now already. We will
Shane,
eventually.
Shane, there's still that resolution in the packet. Are you going to take action on that before you go into closed session?
Didn't we just do that? No?
It was just a motion to go into closed session. It wasn't a motion to adopt the resolution.
Okay.
Or
We have to
is it,
discuss it first, don't we?
So the Port Authority members that are still on, please stay on, don't leave, and let's consider the motion to approve the resolution in addition to the motion that was already made.
sorry, remember, it's just a bit of a technicality there because I believe the motion, as I read it, was just a motion to go into closed session, but you still have the resolution in your packet. So I just don't want there to be any uncertainty to having not officially acted to adopt the resolution.
Okay, well, is there some specific language, Melissa, that you want us to adapt, or should we just, I entertain a motion for the adoption of that?
President Erickson and members, I would suggest making a motion to adopt the resolution in the packet, item 2.1.
Mr.
Yeah.
President,
Yes,
I'll make that motion to accept the resolution in the packet.
okay, Commissioner Hunt makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Keller. Any further discussion?
This no one can see.
Carolyn, you want to call the roll?
Seeing. Bussey,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Lunds,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, so I think now at this point, the meeting can be closed. Exit out of this WebEx and log into the link that you
Commissioners, I know that we're having trouble getting everybody back in, and we're bumping up against the time limit here. So until President Erickson comes back as Vice President, I'm going to call this meeting back to order in the open session. And Jason, I believe we had a motion to consider, did we not?
Try it now, Jason.
So can you call the roll, Carolyn, and press record and then call the roll?
Bussey,
Present.
Carter,
Present.
Hunt,
Present.
Keller, Keller. I see you there.
How about that?
Thank you. Lunds,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Erickson. 6-0. Erickson is absent.
I believe Erickson is on the other WebEx, the one from that was previously sent.
Yep.
He
Yep.
and I were
President,
there.
Commissioners, Melissa, I just spoke to President Erickson, and he's since we only have 2 minutes, I think we'll just go ahead with Commissioner Bussey.
So Commissioners, as I said, with President Erickson not able to reconnect as Vice President, I'm just going to jump in. And as we reopened the open session, and unless there's further discussion, Council, I would look for, authority, I would look for a motion to authorize Port Authority staff to draft an agreement incorporating the LOI and terms discussed in the closed session for consideration at a future meeting.
Moved by Peterson.
Second.
I see a motion by Commissioner Keller and a second by Commissioner Hunt to move forward. Hearing no further discussion. Carolyn.
Bussey,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Lunds,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
6-0.
6-0 is the vote. Mr. Redling, any further business?
Thank you, Commissioner Bussey. Nope, that's it. Thanks, everybody, for accommodating all the technology and the brevity of the meeting. I think it's 5:59, and we could adjourn the meeting.
With that,
I'm sorry.
I will adjourn this meeting. I don't think we don't do the roll call to adjourn. So I will adjourn this meeting of the Port Authority this evening. Thank you all very much.
Happy Groundhog Day.